Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. I can start now. So kindly let me know if there's any challenge concerning what we did. Do you have any challenge?
No, please.
Okay. Then we can go straight to what we're supposed to do today. So I'm sharing my screen with you. Okay. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. So thank you. Okay. So yesterday I think we got to here. So getting data in and out of Python, right? Okay. So can you all confirm that? Okay. So the purpose of what I want us to do today, I want us to use the Visual Studio Code. Okay. So last time I asked you to install your Visual Studio Code. So you can open it. So this is the Visual Studio Code. So I've just double click to open mine. So if you already you have it, that is okay. So you can just open that. Okay, so we can start with a new. So what your case once okay, it should come with a new file terminals and stuff. For mine, it's showing me a different one, but I'm just trying to open it. So I will start with a new window. So the work I have will not be fast. Okay. So I'll close my old window. I don't intend to use that. So when you open yours, you should see something like this. Okay. Uh, yeah. Have you been able to open it? Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Can you hear me? I'm
Yes,
asking
please.
if you'll be able to open. Okay. So you should have something like this. Okay. So For us, now it's seen that it's showing to me the path what would be where my data can be sequenced. But I'm going to set a new path for this. Okay, so you can go or add folder. Okay, or we can just do save as to be able to create a new space where we want to work. Okay, so if I click on add space, it will just take me to this, but that's not where I want. I want to go to desktop. So I'll go to my desktop and then create a new folder called PMC. So I'll create a new folder called, okay, PMC is already there. Okay, so I'll just select it. I already have PMC here. So if you don't have it, you just create it. Okay, so that is my working space, PMC. And then I will just click on save. Okay, so I have PMC there now. So now you could also decide to use the save as if you want. So you use the save as here. When you click on save as, if for instance you've created a file, that will save you directly to where you intended to save your file. Okay, so once you click on save as, it's going to open. Then it's a little bit slow. Okay, it's a little bit slow. So let's focus on this space. So now you can see here, I just click here. We see where we see Explorer. Okay, so just click the Explorer. Okay, so once you click on Explorer, you could see open folder. If you can see it, open folder. So you can click on open. Okay, so what are we opening? We want to open the folder we have on our desktop. So I'll come here and then you can see the folder I have here is PMC. So I ask you to create a new one, so you can also create it here like that. So you click on PMC and then you add that. Okay, so you can see, yes. So now I've added this here, so you can see that I have this one working here. Because I chose that also for my working space, that's why you are seeing that there. So now I've opened it in my working space. So this is my working space. So you can see here PMC, and I already have some files there. Okay, so but that is not our focus for now. Okay, so kindly have this setup. Now you can see here with the, if you are new, if today is the first time you are using, I want to know, have you all used Visual Studio Code before, or this is your first time of using it?
I have.
You have. Okay.
Yeah.
Who else? Who else? this your first time? Okay, what about Christian?
This is my first time.
Okay, so now let's focus. So for now, you can see here, down there, you can see extension. Let's see extension. You can see extension. So you need to make sure that Python is some library. So let's install Python, because even though Python is already installed on our machine, but then it's better we install Python 2 from this space. Okay, so you come here and you type Python. So for me, you see that I've already installed it. So if not, you will see that you show install. You can see Python. When you do it, the first one, just install that extension. Okay, so you click and install. Okay, for me, I've installed it, so I'm not going to do that again. So just click on install Python, the first one that will come. Okay, and you will see that Python debugger, maybe I want to, so I added that one. And then you can see I've installed Python indent. Yesterday I was telling you that we use indentation after the column. So you want automatically Visual Studio Code to do that for you. So just install Python debugger, and then the Python indent. Okay, so that it will automatically take care of your indented for you. So let's do that. The first Python and Python indent. Yeah, are we done?
Yes, please.
Okay, so can we continue? Hello, can we continue? Okay, so once you are done with that, so now we can continue from here. Now, here, what I will be doing is we will be using this editor to write our Python script. Okay, so if you've not used it before, now you can see here the first one that you can see here, the first file that you see here, new file. If I want to create a new file, this is what I will use to create a new file. Now here is to create a folder. So if I want to create a folder, I'll use this to create a folder. Okay, the rest is easy to focus. So now all this one you see is a Python file. So any Python file is having .py. Okay, and these are folders. Okay, so these are folders. So that is all. Okay, so with this we can continue. Now let's go straight to our notes. So we've gotten to getting data in and out of Python. Okay, so for your elementary period, maybe from class 4 coming, you all know when you talk about what is computer, there's some definition that will come in mind. Okay, so if I ask what is computer, you can just give me the basic definition of computer. What is computer? The word computer, what is it? What is it? Hello. Yeah, who can help us? Yes, basic definition of computing. What is computer? Or what is a computer? What does it do? What is Kwame?
A computer is any device that accepts data as input, processes it, and outputs it as information.
Oh, that is all that I want. So you realize that there are three keywords that came in. Okay. The first one is what? Input. Okay, so computer accepts data, that is input. And then the next word keyword that I was looking for, you may mention, was process. So after feeding the computer system with data, you need to process the data. And the last keyword that I was looking is the output, which we said that. So that is the basic definition of computing. And whatever that we are also going to do as programmer, that's what that we are going to focus on, because you are focusing on feeding the computer with data, processing the data, and producing the output. So that is the basic definition about computing, and the same thing applies to programming. So we'll be using the same processes. So like yesterday, you saw I just used one, that's input function. So we use the input function to prompt user for information. Like I said, I think yesterday I made mention of the flowchart, okay, and I also made mention of algorithm, okay. So if I have my plan, I know what exactly I wanted to do. So based on the idea that I've gotten, now I will be able to break down the idea down, and I say, okay, this will be the first step. After this phase, I will do this, and then from this, you do this. So that is systematical way of you programming your own idea, what exactly you want to do. So to translate this into maybe a software based or so a computer based application, okay, that a computer can either use. Okay, so if that is the case, then we need to put it in a form that a developer or maybe a programmer can use that to come out with what application that the computer can also use, okay, to process what data. And that is what I said, we call that what the flow chart. So a flow chart is just a plan that you are giving to the programmer to be able to develop for you. Okay, so if I have that plan, I can now develop for you. So you just give me your plan and I will do that. So sometimes you may have an idea, you can meet a computer engineer or a computer science student, and you'll be able to sit down and then plan your whole idea for you, put it in this format. Because if you are offering a computer science or computer engineering, definitely you need to understand all these phases. So these are what we call flow charts, and you need to know the flow chart symbols, like what we have here. You need to know the symbols. Okay, so if somebody wants to give you an idea, you will take the idea and need to translate the idea into a chart that a developer can use. So as you can see here, this is an idea. So this diamond, or what you see here, this is what we call the decision. So where you want to take a decision, that the if conditions and all those, it goes on to the decision. So these are the basic things that you needed to know. So the orals, like what we have here, this one is called the start and end. So I wanted to start the whole application, and then where I will end. So we use this symbol for start and end. And then we use the decision. We use this one, what you call the diamond. So we use this one for decision. Okay. And this one, what we call maybe for parallelogram, which we also use that one for input and output. So this is where you feed your system with data. And the process, so this is the process. So this is the basic definition that every a computer scientist or every developer need to know. And then you need to have these symbols in mind, because anytime you have an idea, you need to translate this idea into a workable chart that when you give to any developer, the developer will be able to come out with a system for you. So these are the things I want to know. So the processing will come here, input and output will come here at the parallelogram sides, and then the oval shape. The oval shape here will be for the start and the end of your whole system. Now that we've gotten this whole idea and we know what a flowchart means and also know what algorithm also is, now we can look at our input and output. Okay, and then we look at decision and stuff. I think we've talked a little bit about decision. Then the input and output, we'll be thinking of processing also as we are will be going on. So now for here, we call what we call user interactive. So if I want to end user to interact with my system, we use the word prompt. So you prompt the user for an information. I can prompt you by saying, hey, enter this, hey, put this. So the moment you see that you are prompting the user to feed your system, so we call prompts. So you prompt end user to interact with your system. Now you could see this one. You say that to send data to users via STD out. So now what you see here is just an abbreviation, okay, and it means something that we can do. So this one is called output, okay. So we look at the standard output and then standard input, okay. So STD in and then STD out, okay. So these are what we'll be looking at, okay. So we look at the standard input, the standard output, okay. So these are the two. So when you see this, mostly when you program with C++, you can see something like this, STD output, okay. But here, this is what exactly we mean. We mean the standard output and then standard input. Okay, so we can now focus on creating our file. Okay, so let's look at something here. If I want to use what we call print function, okay, so the print function is what gives us the output. So everything that I wanted to program, and I use the print function. The print function is going to give me output. So let's start a simple program. At this time, we want to use all these elements here. Okay, so a print function. So now I'm going to create a new file. So to create a new file here, I'll click on this plus, and then I'll give my file name. So the file name that I'm giving is test me. So testme.py. Okay, so you can see testme.py, and then you hit enter on your keyboard. Just hit enter on your keyboard. So now you can see that your Python file has been created. Okay, so you can see it, and then you see the Python sign there. Okay, so you have that. If you are using the phone, you just follow by opening your file on your phone and then you choose it. So it's the same thing. Okay, we just want to use an editor. Okay, so you can open the editor on your phone and use this. So we are using the Visual Studio Code on our laptop to do. Okay, so I can print something here. This is print function. Okay, so if I run this print function here and save, now you see here we have on our terminal. Let me bring our terminal down there. So I click on a new terminal. So the terminal will go down there as you can see. So this will show you down there. I can run my code by using my terminal. You already know how to do that. Okay. And then I can also run it by using the run. As you can see there, we have the run here. And I can also do the same thing. Okay. So let's see that I wanted to use my terminal. So I can do ls. So when I do ls simply means list. Or I can do del. Do you remember del? Directory. Also will give me. Now ls, we use ls within ls simply means list. Okay, it simply means someone is giving. Can you mute your David? Can you mute your? Okay, so ls simply means list. On Windows environments, if you are using a command prompt on Windows and you use ls, it will not work. So let's see. If I go here and I use command prompt, let's say cmd. So cmd here is Windows old command prompt. Okay, so this one will not work if I use ls. So let's say ls. Now it will tell me that does not recognize. So you can see ls is not. You can see here ls is not what recognized. But if I see there, which will work. Okay, so you can see the directory. So it opens all the directories that I have within my user. Okay, so you can see all my directories. So this one is specifically to Windows. But now Windows came out with the PowerShell. So PowerShell works directly with Linux and then Windows. So hybrid. So in that case, with you can use Linux command within what do you call Windows. Okay, so that's why it's friendly to use PowerShell than the command prompt itself. The command prompt will stick you to the Windows command kind of working. Okay, so here I can use this and at the same time. So when you check here, can you see this? when you check here on my terminal, I'm using PowerShell. If you can see here, PowerShell. So when you click down here, you can see that we have PowerShell, we have Git. So Git is, we call Git Bash. So Git Bash is mostly with the Linux kind of command. Then we have the command prompt, the one I just opened for you. Okay, so if for instance I've just selected command prompt, so this is what will come. So here, if I type in ls, here you see that I'll receive an error telling me that ls is not recognized as what, internal or external command. If I type in del, now you will see it will just work for me. So I'm not going to use cmd here. Okay, I'm not going to use cmd. Okay, so I can delete cmd and then remain for this. Now you can also select, you can see this one is JavaScript debug terminal. So if maybe you are working with JavaScript, you can also select this one and then you focus on that. Now Git Bash, so if maybe you want to write Git Bash command, so now here, if you've installed Git Bash in your system, you should be able to have that. So Git Bash is purely on Linux. Okay, so you could see that I have the sign here changes. So here I can easily use Linux command throughout. So you could see here everything Linux, if I Ubuntu or whatever you want to use. I can use ls, I can use cd, I can use make directory, I can create a folder, make directory, and create my own folder. But for now, that is not the focus. But I just want you to know. So when you are selecting, you know exactly what you are selecting. So we will focus on PowerShell for now. Okay, so I've closed it. So now the file that I just created here is called test me. So if you want to run your program without using the run here, I prefer using the command than to go and use run here. So I'll just come down here and type the word Python. So it tells you that you are going to run a Python file. So when you type the word Python, okay, and then followed by your file name. So my file name is test me. So test me.py. Okay, so if you click on this and run, now nothing happened. Why?
Because there's nothing in the print statement. There's nothing to print.
So of course nothing will come out. Okay, so now if for instance when you are starting learning programming, there's one simple program we normally do, that is what, hello world. So let's say we want to start with hello world. Okay, so hello world. So if I do, and I'll just save the Control S just to save it. Now I can run again. So you just use your control keys on your keyboard, control keys, so up. So I don't need to type again, up. I just hit on up. Then it will come again for me to run. So now you can see here, hello world. Okay. So it's very simple to use. You can use the run here, but I prefer always using the command than just to go here to use that. Okay, so you can stick to what you want. If you also prefer to run by using the run here, it's okay, but this is what I prefer. So let's move on. So now here by extension, when you have this print function here, the print function is having a key. Okay, so let's see here, I just want us to take notes. Okay, so print function is having some keys that I want us to take note. By default, when you are using the print function, it's having this one that we need to know. So first thing is print function. So I'm going to use double comment. I remember double comments, right? So double comment, this is the double comment. So you could see that when I just did it, just automatically came. That's the beauty of using the Visual Studio Code. So now here everything. So now I'm going to the first one is this separator. Okay, so what I need to is just going to separate everything that we want to do with either a hyphen or how you want to do. So by default, print give us empty space. Okay, give us, so separate anything with space, like the way you see this one, separate them with space. So we can force or change the space with something else. So that is what we call separator. So the separator here is the space between the different object or entity here or element here. So that is the space. So this space here, that's what we call separator. Okay, so you can decide to use something different for the separator here, what you see here. So that is what we want to know. So that is the first part. The next point is what we call the end. So if you see here, this is another keyword called end. And by extension here, automatically when you do print function, give us what we call a new line. So print function is having a new line, kind of new line method. So whatever that you are doing is going to give you a new line. Okay, like to move to, if I'm printing an item, it will print the first one and move to the next line and move to the next line. So it's defaultly, we already have new line there. Okay, like this new line. Last time we went through, so you remember new line. So that is print function. It's having a new line. Okay, and then the separator will be what you want to separate with. So maybe I want to separate mine with let me place this one in quotes. Let me place this one in quotes. Okay, and then here I'm going to separate mine with maybe hyphen. So let me place this one in quotes. Okay, so this is the different. Okay, now when we finish with that, we can also have a file. So instead of me maybe printing to a console, I can decide to print to a file. So here means that you can decide to print to a file, like maybe I can have a text file like this, tst, maybe me dot tst. So this is my file. I can print to this file instead of maybe console. So instead of console, I can print to what? A file itself. Because we know that what we just printed here, we just printed to a console. So that is, sometimes you don't want to print to a console, you want to directly print to a file. Okay, because when you start programming very well, it's not everything you print to a console. You print to a system or can print to a database or something. So what we wanted to print to, for now we are always printing to this. So this is what you can do. So these are the two things: the separator, the new line. So by default, this one is there. By default, the separator is space. Okay, and this one, the file is not there. By default, it's not there. So you have to set that. Okay, so let's do a simple practice in this to see how this one works. Okay, so I just want us to do one or two exercises to see how we can look at some of these things. So now for first one, I want to check with the separator. So now you can see here we have print hello world, as you can see here. So we can either start with separator, okay, just to change everything that we are going to the output. So the output that we'll be getting, we want to change the output to something new. Okay, so and that is where the separator comes in. Okay, so if I have here like comma, and then I'll type in step like we see here, step, and then I'll give this one, let's say hyphen, something like this. So now I'm just changing my, instead of space here like this, because by default it's a space that's going to separate these two items, that is hello world. So I want to change that separator default to what? Hyphen. Okay, and that will be that we use the keyword separate. Okay, so if I come here and then run my program now, sorry, just a minute. Okay. Okay. So if you check here, so this one going to change the separator. So it's going to just print this one with the hyphen. Okay. So now if I want to check the other side, we have the end, and the end here, this is the end. To the end of this one is the new line. So if I check this one and I see end, so what do we have here? So end, I'll just use my end with space. Okay, so space means that maybe instead of coming to a new line, I want to leave it with space. So if I'm doing something like this, so definitely it's going to give me the space. Okay, so if I'm printing something, that is how this one works. So let's see. So you are not seeing anything here, all right, because you are just only printing one thing here, but I'll do a rare kind of test for you to see, but just to explain it to you. So that is how this one will work. And then we can also use a file. So for instance, I can have a file here, I can create a file, and then you try to use the file to save everything in. So if you are going to use the file, what you do is that at the end of this one, you can type in your file. Like the way you see this file, you see that it has just selected. Then you pick your file name. So maybe my file name will be maybe me.txt. So me.txt is the file name that you want to assign to this. Okay, so this is how this works. Okay, so we'll be going into details to see how we can actually work with some of these things. Okay, so when you check our notes, that's what we have there. Okay, so now you can see here, let's see. Okay. So you can see here, now we have different things here. Can you see? So what makes the difference is that now these are different entity. If you can see here, this is a different entity, this is a different entity. So now if I use separator, it's going to change the two. Okay, it's going to change the two for me. That is what I was talking about. So now you can see here. But when it's one, because everything is one, everything is just a one string. So there's nothing like separator separating anything here because it's just one string. So it's not going to, you are not going to see the difference. Okay, so that is what we were having here in our code, because the hello world that you saw here, it was just one string. If I run this one, the separator actually is not going to work, okay, because I'm dealing with what? One string, okay. But if I have this, okay, and then I have this. So now you could see that these are two different things. These are two different strings. So with these two different strings, we can now check our separator to see what we have. So if I run this code, now you could see that I have what? Hello world. But what do you see here? I'm having hyphen, and that is the separator I'm using against individual entity, because now they are not just one. Before it was just one string. So one string, there's nothing that you can use to separate them. But here you can see here, we don't have what? We don't have a space here. But here you can see that we have hyphen between them because we are using what? A different word entity. So hello is a different entity with a string on its own, and then another word is also a different. So now if I want to join the two, now you can use the separator to be able to do that. Now let's look at this. I'm going to write a simple program. So now with this program here, just a simple program, based on what we've done so far. So here I'm going to print a series of numbers, okay, using the range function. So I have that maybe I'm going to generate numbers maybe from 1 to 10. So let's say for n in range. So n in range, I just want 10. So now I want 10, okay. So I can have my numbers. So let's say print n. Okay. If I save this program and now run this, so you see that I'm getting what? 1, but each comes with a new line. So that is what I was telling you, that here by default is having a new line. So by default there is a new line there. That is, so when you have here the end here, sorry, so by default we have end, okay, and this end here is having a new line, okay. That is by default extension. That's how it has been programmed, okay. So by default we have that, So you could see that everything is just a new line. So this is how it is, but you will not see. So by default, it's new line. Okay. So if I don't want the new line thing to come, so I can also use something else. So for this extension, instead of me letting it print from 1, then the 2 will go to the next line, 3 will go to the next line, 4 will go to the next line, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't want that way. Okay. So what do I need to do? So now you could change this one. Okay. So if you change this one to a string, okay, so I just change it to a string. So now I can come here and run my code. So now you could see that I'm having everything just on one line, because now I've just printed everything to a string. Okay, I printed everything to a string. So you could see here, I just gave a space. So that's why you saw that everything is just on one line. Okay, I can decide to, hey, I want to leave a space, let's say comma, okay, in between. So in that case, it will come like that when you run your code. So now you can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But you can see that the last one is having the comma like that. I could use maybe pipe. I could use pipe. Let's say I want to use pipe, something like this. Okay. So in that case, it will also work like that. So when I run this, then you see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this is how you control your print function. By default, it comes as what? A new line, like I showed you. Okay, so if you don't want, you can print it to a list, you can print it to maybe a string or whatever that you want to print it to. So that is how this one works. Okay, so once you understand this, you can now try to modify your print function. Now the next point is, I will show you when we move on to the other side, where maybe we want to print to a file. So now we know how to use the separator. We also know how to use the end. Okay, and then the last thing is the far. So how do we print to a far instead of maybe a console like what you are seeing? So how do we do that? Okay, so let's look at that also. Okay, so now to go into that, first thing is, I think yesterday I opened something to you, like with open function. Do you remember what we did yesterday with open function? Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, do you understand? Okay, so now with open function here, we have open like this. Okay, so yesterday I did show you that maybe you want to open a file. So like when you see here, when I click on this, it will sometimes show you exactly what you want to do. So now you can see that here to open a file, we use the with open function here to open what a file. So if maybe I have a file here, so I'm going to create a file here. So the file that I'll create will be me dot tst. It's just a text file. So me.txt is a file that I've created. Okay, so you can see that this is empty file. There's nothing in there. It's an empty file. Okay, so whatever that we want to do, we are going to look at that, how we will be able to work with this. Okay, now when we want to open a file with this one, there's two things that we needed to know. The first part is with open function here, it comes with what? The file name. So we need to give the file name some, like the file name will be like what I want to be like me.txt. So that is my file name. So let's do a simple note here. So I'm having a simple note here. So the first thing is the file name. So my file name will be what? This. And then the mode, the next point is what? Mode. Like what exactly you want to do. So with the mode, we have this R. So by default, when you don't specify, it will take the default. R means what? Read. So R means read. Okay, so that is what it means. It means read. Okay, then we have W. So W also means write. Okay, so it means that you want to write. And then we have A. So now A also means append. It means that you already have a file and then you want to append. Okay, so that is what it means. Okay, now we may have like R class, but we will not focus on that. So this one simply means read and write. So at the same time here, read and write. But here, you need to make sure that the file exists before you can do that. Okay, so yesterday I just mentioned to you that if you want to use, we can use what? With open function. I hope you remember that, with open function. So we can use the with open function to be able to do that. So for now, here maybe we want to write something to this. So when I say with, like the way you see here, with open. So with open here will actually make everything easy for us. So here with open, it means I don't need to close my file yesterday, if you remember. So automatically it will close for you. Once you open the file, you don't need to close it. You don't need to think of how you close it. Automatically it will close it for you. Okay, so that is one thing that you need to take note of. Okay, so if I have this one sorted out, I can decide to write to this test. So to write to test me, what I needed to do is that you need to bring the file name. So the file name will be me.txt. That's test file. And then the mode simply means that what exactly you want to do. So what I want to do here is to read. Okay, so that would be W. Okay, now because we are using with, then we can use a variable for it. So the variable that we need to use we use what the variable like as. So as what? Let's say f, or can be a far or whatever name that you just a variable, just want to represent it. Then you bring your indent. So now you can write your code within this indent. So now I can use this variable and call for, so you can see here it kind of like object. You can see here variable. Okay, so now this variable here, f here, I can use this variable. So now I can see f dot. So now dot, what you can see here, I can close. That's why I say when you open a file, you need to close it. Okay, so you can see close. You can see, so there are a lot of stuff here that you can see read. So this is what makes using the editor very easy. So now, yes, even if you don't know, you can see it there. Okay, so now you can see here what I want is what write. So now I have this write, just the write that I want, like the one I just typed here. I want the write because I want to write. Okay, so then you tell what you want to write. So I can place my far in there. So this is a string that I want to write to. So I can say hello world. So hello, maybe let me give a comma, and then I'll put in world. So hello world, and then I can also put my new line. Maybe I want a new line to be there. So I just do this, and I can also add another one again to it and say far dot right. What am I writing? I'm writing another test. So this time I can say Python makes programming easy. So I can say Python makes programming easy. Okay, so this is what I've just done. So now with this, I can just save my file. So once I do this, and I can write this one down. So I'll come here and then click on this. So now if I go test me, you can see that everything is here. You can see hello world. You can see Python makes programming easy. Okay, so that tells you that I've just used this to write. And then you can also use the same thing like what we have here. We can also read. Okay, so we can use this one to read the information that is there by using f dot word read. Then it will be able to read the content what you have there. Okay, so it's very simple. So once you do that, you want to read, you change the W to what? R. Okay, and then here instead of write, that will be what? Read. So now it will read the content of this for you. Okay, so now you can see here, because I just add new line, this one brought this one to what? The next line. So you could see that here it wasn't on the same line. Move on to what? Next line. Okay, but you didn't see the new N1 because I simply means that after creating, don't append the next one, move it to what? Next line. If I want to write another program, let's say and say dot write, and then I'll type I like programming. So that is the next thing. So let's see how this will turn out. So I'll come down here and then run it. So now let's go and check. Now you can see that it just joined to the next line. You can see. So if you don't want it like this, that's why we actually brought the new line there so that it doesn't join to this one. Okay. So that is so once you really understand some of these things, you know exactly how you actually do your programming stuff. So that is why we have this new line, just to avoid it, this one to join to this line. Okay. Okay. So we can actually continue from our notes. So now we'll be able to do this. So now let's look at we writing the file. So let's look at this simple program here. I've already explained everything to you concerning the print. Okay, so the last point that we want to look at is file. So you can see here we have a file here, and the file name is temp. Okay, so temp.this. So maybe I can create this one here, and what we want to do is very simple. We instead of we printing this to console, we want to print to a file. So that's what this program is about. So now you can see that this and this we save as with a variable called temp. Okay, so instead of maybe we write to write, now we can use the print also. So we print everything, then we use the file. Okay, and then assign everything to the file. So that is what that we did, because whatever you print will come to what you write. Sorry, whatever you write here will go to the temp. That is the variable that you created. So if you want to write it to something, you use that one to do that. But this one already everything is here. So we are printing it. So as I'm printing it, we say that hey, take every information and send it to file. So that is very simple. And then we want to use the separator. So what do we do? Because these are two different words, so we want to separate it with this. Okay, so let me copy this simple program here and then run this for you. Okay, it's the same thing of what we just did. Okay, so if I get down here, I'll just put this one here. Okay, so all that you need to do is to do your formatting. So I'll just format it nicely here. But I don't have the file. So what do I need to do? Who can help me? Hello?
Yeah, please come again.
Yeah, I'm seeing that I don't have the file. You see here, the file is temp.txt. So what do I need to do? What do we need to do? Any idea? From what I did.
Create a file.
Yeah, you create the file. So first thing we need to create the file. So this one we need to create it here. So I'll come to file. I'll click on this thing, and then I'll type that is tmp. Sorry, tmp.txt. Okay, so I'll create that file there. So once I'm done, you can see that it's just showing there, there's nothing in there. So now I can run this code. So if I run this code, let's save this and then come down. So let's go this. You can see that everything is there. Now you can see end. Why do you see the end there? Who can explain? Why that there's end here? Check the code. Why that there's end? Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, why that there's end here? Hello, where there is when you check the code.
Because in the code you assigned the string end like to end like the sentence.
Okay, so it means that we change the default new line to end. Okay, you know that the end by default is what? Is this. By default, this is what you will see. But it will not show. By default, it's something like this. So if maybe we don't want this default to show, we can replace with something like what I just did before. I placed mine with empty string that you can print inside and stuff. So if I change it to the default end, then it's going to be something like this. So if we go to tempt me, you can see there's nothing there. Okay, it means that by default, if I remove this one here, it means the same thing. So if you remain and take this one off and run the code again, it will be the same. So when you go there, you realize that it's the same. So by default, the end by default, that's how. So this is my end. So we just change the end to something like end. So we just want to show that that is the end. So that's why we did that. Just want you to understand every step, whatever that we are doing. So now you can manipulate your print function, and then you don't just stick to the default, because sometimes you might be doing something and you don't necessarily want to print to the console. You want to print to a separate file somewhere. But once you understand some of these things, it makes it easy to actually control whatever that you want to do. And then the writes and the open is the same. Okay, so the write and the open is the same thing that you can also choose. So basically, this is what we've done. Now we move on to the inputs. I think yesterday I did a little bit of exercise with the inputs. Okay, so you have some idea about how the input function works. Okay, so let's come here. I will just comment on these lines. So let me do commenting on this line. Okay, so we can look at input function. So like we said, now we've covered about the print function. So I believe now you understand the print function. You know how to control the print function, how to manipulate the print function. So that is cool. Now let's move on to the input function. So with the input function, we accept data from the end user. So how do we do that? So for instance, if I have a file, so I just want to create a simple application and say and collect information. So the information that I want to collect, I want to take the so I want to prompt the end user for this data. So I'm taking this data from the end user. First, I want the fair name, like bio data. So I want the, let's say, first name, I want last name, I want age, and then I also want I want the skills, okay, and then I want the maybe country, okay, and probably let's add city. Okay, so these are the information that I want to take from, and let's add maybe Salah. Okay, so these are the information that we want to take from the the end user. So all that we'll be doing is that we'll be prompting the end user for this information. So with this, you can start with writing a simple code that will do that. Okay. So my simple code will be, I'll create my variable. So the variable should always depict what you are doing. So definitely I can use maybe elf or something, but make sure your variable naming always should depict exactly what you are asking for. So I want the first name, so I'll use my variable name to be first underscore name. I prefer this. You can name your variable like first, then capital A. So it tells you that we are talking about different what? Different item. Okay. So, but I always prefer using the underscore. So depend on. So now here, and I'll assign, I'll take the value. But what are we doing? We are using the input function to prompt the end user for data. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll use inputs, and then I'll tell you give a description what you want the end user to do. So here I want you to, so I'll say enter your first name here. So with this, I can just write a comment, a simple line comment that says prompt for data. So definitely what we are doing here, we are prompting for data. So that is what we are doing. So the last one will be last underscore name. So the last underscore name, then I'm still using the input function. So here, sorry, here I'll key in this and see that enter your last name here. Okay. So it is same prompt. Here is the same prompt. So on the same line. So always try to learn how to give comments to your program. So anytime you pick it again, exactly you know what that line may be prompt for data. Okay, so I know exactly that this one I'm just prompting for data. So now I've been able to pick the first name and the last name. The next one is age. So now I will have here age. But you know that age is what? What data type will age be? what data type would age be?
Integer.
Integer.
So whatever you take from input function come as a string. So we need to cascade towards the string to integer. And then the function that we can use is what called int. So now I'll put my int here first. Then I can write my input function in just to change everything, the output to be integer. So now I can say here, enter your age. So I've picked that data now. So now the next point I have to is skill. Okay, so of course skills is also the same thing like what we are doing here. Okay, so I can just copy this line and just duplicate them because it means the same thing. Okay, so now I'll just change here to skill. Okay, and then change here first name to okay, and then I'll move on to the next one, which will be the country. So I'll just change here this one to country. Okay, and then come here and also change this one to country. Okay, and then move on to city. So I can replace the same thing here. Okay, so enter your city. Okay, so let's change here to city. Okay, so now we've gotten this information here. Okay, so what do we need to do? Okay, so that's the most important thing. Now you can see something here. This one to the salary. So what data type can we use for salary? Who can help?
Boolean.
What?
Boolean.
Boolean.
Sorry, float.
Float, yeah, float. Float, good. So we can use float for prompt for data. Okay, so now with this one, I will just copy the each. Okay, just copy the each and then come down and paste change here to salary. Okay, and then come here now because we'll be using floats, so we cascade it to floats. Okay, so here we enter your okay. So now we are done with the data capturing. So the next point is we also want to print, or we can for now we can do everything within our print statement. So let's say it's like print output. So I can comment here and say output. Okay, so with this output, if I run this program, of course nothing will show because we are not printing anything. So if we run this code here, we won't see anything, but we can just debug it. Now when you use the word debug, do you understand the word debug? Debug, when somebody say debugging, do you understand? Hello.
Removing bags from a code.
Yeah. So we want to test to check that if there's any bugs or errors and stuff from. So when you check the run here, you could see that we have start debugging. So start debugging means that we want to check if there's any errors within, or you say that run without debug means that you feel like there's no error here. So if I just run on debug here, you can see that it just check all those things. So there's no error there. So of course you will see that. But you can see here it's asking for extension for me to install Python extension for debug before I can use the debug. Okay. I'm not interested in that for now. So now let's go here. So now what I'll do is that I'm just going to type this. When you run your code and there's error, it's definitely going to show. You can see that there's no error. So it's going to ask me for first name. Let me put something there. They ask me enter last name, then enter age. If I put in anything that is not the same, it's going to throw an error. So because I know that is a string, so country, and then city, then salary maybe 50. But of course, even if tag 50 is going to give, but you see that nothing came out because we've not printed anything out. Okay. So there's one thing I want us to take note. I think yesterday I was talking to have what we call F formatting. So F formatting. So we call the F string formatting. Sorry, F string formatting. Okay, and then let me put everything in quotes. So F string formatting. Okay, so now F string formatting simply means that if I want to use F string formatting, you start with F, then open, then you have your string because F string. So this is it, and then all your code is going to be within. Okay, so for instance, here I'll have maybe print. So my print statement will be here. Okay, and then inside my print statement, I'm using F string. So what the F string does is that whenever that we want to place the names like variables and stuff, we use a placeholder. So this is a placeholder. So for instance, if I want to add name, so I'll place the name in what this one, the first name in what this, and see a placeholder like this. So this is how this one will work. That is F formatting. This is very common. And then we have format. I believe you've worked with this, so you've seen this. So if I'm going to use format like this, now what this one means is that I need to use my prints like the same print statement like here. But inside of this, I can have my string here, and then wherever that I want to place my my variable here, I can leave what we call this, what we call a placeholder. So maybe I want first name, the last name should be in placeholder. Then we dot format. So that is formatting. We call this one format string. Okay, so this is format string. So we use the dots. So we use the dot format to call for that. So dot format. Now you see something like this. So inside this, the first placeholder, what do you want to place in this? So that will come here. Instead of the F format, you go directly in there. So you don't need to. So that is easy. So here, maybe here, I need to put in first name, first underscore name, and then comma, and then here will be for last underscore name. So this is the difference between the formatting string, but you just need to know the two, and then you will stick to one, which one you want to choose. So for instance, I'm just going to use this one to just print something here for us to see when we enter the data. So now here, this one is going to print out the first name. Let's see that we want to add last name to it. So I'll place last name here, last underscore name here. So once we run our code, this is going to do that for us. And then we can also do the same thing. Okay, so this one, I will see something here from F string. So this is from F string, and then we continue with the next one. So this is for, so let's see the two. So instead of this, I'm just using this. So here, this one will also be from, because it's a string here, so when you place this one, so from format. Okay, so we've gotten the two now here. So we save our work, we come down this space, and then we can run our code. So the first one is to ask of our name. We just put anything there, last name, we put anything there, age, yes, put anything, skills, anything, country, anything, city, anything, salary, anything. So now you can see that we've printed this from formatting this one, but I see it is almost the same. I hope it's clear.
Yes.
Okay, so that is the format. So like the information that we pick here, you could present it in a nice way, how you want the output should be like. You can present them in a nice way by using the formatting string, okay, to be able to do that. Okay, so in a nutshell, I think we've been able to go through this far. We've done with open. I've explained that to you. Okay, so if you see here something like this, now you can also use the same thing. The while, yesterday we did the while loop, so remember the while loop. So you can try this code on your own. Okay, you can try here on your own by using the input function to take the data, and then you print it out, so you could see the code here. You understand all this in this, what we call break. You understand value error, you talk about this, you understand that int here means that whatever that we pick there, we are changing it back to the data, so that you will be able to choose that. And then the if condition, so you are checking the target and then all those things and see that if it's low and stuff. So you could try your hands in that, okay? And then using the text bar, I think I've also gone through that, showing the difference between the R, the W, then the RW, and all those. These are the read data far. Okay, so this one, R means that read and write. The same as what I just did, like the R plus. So the same thing, and the A means append. Okay, so I just went through all those things. You can try your hand and read. Read simply means that you just give you, or then they can just read line by line. So this one is read lines, so you're going to take them line by line. So that's the difference. But the example that I gave is the same across. Okay, so once you just follow the rest, you can go through them. Okay. So we will end here with the open file. I've done that for you. Save as objects, and then you call the object name. I can also use a for loop like what we just did. You can just take it and use a for loop to print individual from your file. So if I have here and I open the file and the content within the file, maybe I'm reading the app, and then I'll save everything in objects. So now I can use my for loop to call for line in the object, and then I'll process everything. Maybe I want to print individual. Now you know how to use the print function. You can change the output in any way how you want it to look like. Okay, so that is exactly what we've done so far. So what are you needed to do is to try your best and then go through what we've done so far. And when we meet next week, we will go into extending Python. So now, how do we extend? So extending Python means that we need to write our own functions, and then we learn how to write a model, we learn how to do this. So I think we are moving gradually, we are getting deeper and deeper and deeper. So what it requires of you is to take your time and then go through what we've done. So I'm not going to treat this topic today. Our time is up. Just take your time and go through what we've done. Next, where we meet, I'm going to start with extending Python and treat that as a main topic and how to understand the function. I've been using function, but I've not treated it as a topic. So I'll take my time and go in details of function so that at the end of that, you'll be able to know how to create your own function and how to call your own function, and then how to use your function in a different program that you write. Okay, so if you have any questions so far, what you've done, if there's something that maybe you couldn't get the understanding as I was explaining to you, you can draw my attention to it. I think we have 3 minutes to be able to do that. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Do you have any way? I want to find out if there's any